How we doing, everybody? This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR and racing podcast. So much racing action and content to cover, putting in an extra episode this week. Before IndyCar, O'Reilly, and the Cup Series rumble in the desert, ARCA Series would be racing. ARCA West and ARCA would have a combined race on Thursday night to start the action in Phoenix. Mason Massey, Hailie Deegan, Eric Johnson Jr., plus others from the West will go wheel to wheel with Andy Jankowiak, Jason Kitzmiller, Bobby Dale Earnhardt, plus many more from the ARCA National Series. Have special guest on the show this week, O'Reilly Series driver Natalie Decker. Talk about her early years of growing up karting, late models, and throughout her home state of Wisconsin and the Midwest, then into ARCA, trucks, O'Reilly, and that's not all. Natalie talks about the pressure that she dealt with on and off track during her truck series years, getting married and becoming a mother while still racing. Slightly longer than our traditional driver interviews, a really great conversation you don't want to miss. Discussions with Dave, trivia question time, paint scheme of the week, and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all of the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now for the ARCA Series recap from Phoenix. ARCA will get the desert action going on Thursday afternoon. Carson Brown would be on the pole and start up front alongside his teammate Tristan McKee. First 50 laps will be broken up by 4 cautions. Once they get going green after, it would still be Brown leading, followed by McKee and Jake Bowman. After the mid-race break for a planned pit stop, Carson Brown is still strong leading again. McKee again hot on his tails. Can Tristan catch Carson? 30 laps to go. McKee would be doing everything he could to pass Brown. He just could not. The rest of the race would stay green. Carson Brown would be perfect in Phoenix, winning the pole, leading every single lap onto victory lane. Now for trivia question time. This week's question is, who won the first Cup Series race in Phoenix? We mentioned his name last week on History Time. Now for discussions with Dave, Part 1. Phoenix perfection for a young Carson Brown. We were mentioning last year Carson Brown, who's been an up-and-comer in the super late model world of things, signs a development deal with Richard Childress Racing. Brown starts that off in a pinnacle ARCA car. Actually, it was the 28. We know what the 28 did last year with Butterbean Queen, and Carson Brown is perfect. Wins the pole, leads every single lap into victory lane and nabbing the trophy. Last year in Phoenix on the ARCA side, we see Brett Cruz chase down Butterbean Queen in the end in a Joe Gibbs car. This time, Brown in the pinnacle equipment does not miss a beat, onto being perfect in Phoenix. Moving along, and there'll be a lot more. Hell yeah, brother. Cletus McFarland, a.k.a. Garrett Mitchell, signs a deal with Richard Childress Racing and will be making his O'Reilly Series debut just in a few races in Rockingham. We saw Cletus run the Truck Series race and ARCA race in Daytona. Unfortunately, he didn't last that long in the trucks. Spins coming out of turn 4, ends his day early. This has brought on the critics of, is Cletus getting into the higher levels of the sport so quickly just because of his big YouTube following? Cletus McFarland as we know from all of his YouTube stuff and then all the stuff with Greg Biffle as well, is just a big motorhead, a big racing fan. And yes, did he probably get pushed into the ARCA Series a little bit too soon and not having so much seat time in other lower level series like super late models, modifieds, stuff like that? Yes. But having Cletus in the race brings that huge following that he has, and it's good for the sport. Cletus brings more sponsors. Cletus unveiled this news on the Dale Jr. Down Low recently, and Cletus said, RCR called me up and said, hey, we want to bring you on and make you a better driver. He's always honest and open about his experience and where he's lacking. He's learning. I think it's good for the sport. Moving right along, not to keep going on all the lawsuits and everything, but another lawsuit in NASCAR has come up, this time between Nitro Motorsports and Leland Honeyman. Nitro has sued Honeyman over an alleged car number dispute. According to court documents, it's about the car number Honeyman is slated to drive throughout the 2026 ARCA season. Honeyman originally announced as a full-time driver for the team in October. Honeyman had to reduce to part-time with the team for missing sponsorship payments and is going to be on an 8-race schedule. Nitro alleged in the lawsuit that the scaling Honeyman back to part-time was switching him from the number 20 to the number 15. And they alleged that he was well aware of that change. On Honeyman's side of things, they are saying that they were never told of this and had no idea that the number change was coming. We'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks. Sure, interesting with Honeyman still planning on racing with the team. See how things sort out on that one. We'll keep you all updated. Last episode, we talked about how Alex Bowman unfortunately got sick and had to come out of the car in COTA. He was replaced by Myatt Snyder. Bowman does get checked out, but he is diagnosed with vertigo. Really hope for a quick recovery from him. I know that stuff can be very unpleasant. Do hope to see him back in the car soon. Was announced that Anthony Alfredo will serve as the replacement driver for him in Phoenix. How many races will Bowman be out? And that's Discussions with Dave Part 1. Now for NASCAR history time. 1953 we're throwing it back to. NASCAR's first last lap pass for the win. In every sport, football, basketball, buzzer beaters, last second Hail Marys. Up until the final seconds, the last lap, anything can happen. For Bill Blair, that opportunity came when Fonty Flock ran out of fuel on the final lap at the Daytona Beach road course. Blair capitalized, taking the lead and the win in dramatic fashion. This race marked the first NASCAR Cup Series event that was decided on a last lap pass. Now for Discussions with Dave, Part 2. Truck Series TV ratings from St. Petersburg. The ratings are in, and for Fox's broadcast of the Truck Series race from St. Pete, there was over 1 million viewers as Lane Riggs went on to win last Saturday in the inaugural Truck Series event in the streets of St. Pete. With all of the success from this year's event, sounds like they're going to be going back there next year. Can't wait. Moving right along, Nice Motorsports tabs Connor Hall for Rockingham. Nice Motorsports has announced that renowned short track talent Connor Hall will be driving in select Truck Series races for them. The 29-year-old from Hampton, Virginia will drive their number 4 Chevy Silverado in select races starting in Rockingham April 3rd. Hall has one prior Truck Series start underneath his belt, finishing 10th at Richmond in 2024. But that's not all with this deal. Hall has joined Nice Motorsports over the offseason to oversee the team's newly started late model program, which they plan to use in driver development. If you're not familiar with Connor Hall, he is well known on the super late model side of things. Have seen him at Florence. He was racing with Junior Motorsports for a number of years before parting ways, and now we know where he's going, and that's Nice Motorsports. Get some racing in the Truck Series, plus also he'll be the mastermind of their new late model program. Congratulations to Connor. This sounds like a great partnership. Last topic on discussions with Dave for this episode, the drivers only broadcast for Darlington for the Truck Series race has been announced. This one is always one of my favorites. Current and former drivers all team together to broadcast the race. In the booth will be Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, and Joey Logano. Very neat to have 5 championships between the 3 in the booth. Then in the pits, you got 2 past Daytona 500 winners, Austin Cindric and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I think those guys are going to have a lot of fun. Now for Paint Scheme of the Week, Part 2. As I mentioned last episode, been touching on paint schemes from last season. We did the Chris Buescher Cinedus paint scheme. Now we're doing Daniel Suarez's very colorful Trackhouse paint scheme that he did at the end of last season. As we mentioned a couple weeks ago when we had Daniel on the show, after several years, he leaves Trackhouse Racing and joins Spire for this season. Trackhouse, in a nod to Daniel, did a thank you Daniel paint scheme. It's very cool and a lot of colors. Take a look at that one. And now we bring on our next guest, Natalie Decker. This interview is a little bit longer than our traditional interviews, but we cover several topics with Natalie, not just racing, but life off the track as well. It's really a great chat. I hope you all enjoy it. Here's what Natalie had to say.
Next guest we bring on the Splash of Gas is no other than O'Reilly Series driver Natalie Decker. Thanks so much for joining the show today, Natalie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Before we get into the recent racing action, you come from a racing family in Wisconsin. I grew up going to Wall Stadium with my family growing up. Have such great memories. Assuming you have similar ones with your family out in Wisconsin?
I do. And you know what's so funny is sometimes I feel like a lot of people don't know my past because social media wasn't like this really big thing when I was racing short tracks all over the Midwest. And I forget that because so many people will comment and be like, where'd she come from? Or why is she racing in NASCAR? And it's like, I have a long history and this has been a dream of mine for so long. I started racing go-karts when I was 9 and traveling with my family. So it was my brother and I and my 2 cousins. So there was 4 of us racing and then our parents. And we, every weekend, would go to the go-kart track. And that's what made me fall in love with racing was because we were doing it together as a family every single weekend. And it was just so much fun to camp together and hang out all night around the campfire, then wake up and go race our karts the next day. And then my dad was like, okay, well, your dream is to race in NASCAR, so we can't stay in karts forever. We have to move up into stock cars. So at the age of 12, I did my first car race, and it was in a 4-cylinder. I didn't even know how to drive stick yet. So the night before my race, I was at the campground, and my dad in his Jeep that he pulled behind the motorhome, and he's trying to teach me how to drive stick in the Jeep in the parking lot. Oh, I was so nervous, and my dad was like, well, don't worry. It's nothing like a street car because once you're in 4th gear, you'll stay in 4th gear for the whole race. You don't need a shift. So all we have to worry about is getting you into 4th gear, and you'll be set. So I was so nervous, but then, yeah, I grew up racing all over the Midwest. By the time I was 15 years old, I was racing super late models, which is the highest level of short track racing on asphalt that you can really do in those type of cars. And we had so much fun. We traveled a lot. We raced a lot in Wisconsin. We won a lot of races and won a championship and all these fun things. And I'm I feel like a lot of people don't know that about me because it's Instagram was just becoming a thing. And no one had all of these TikTok accounts and could follow these short track racers unless you were at the track and a fan at that track, you probably didn't really know of me. But the memories, they're unforgettable and the best part of my childhood.
Got it. That's a pretty funny story about learning how to drive stick as well. Yeah, I mean, I remember first kind of seeing your name on the map in the Midwest Truck Series, you know, and then kind of from there. So you just mentioned, you know, super late models, and you do run the Midwest Truck Tour. I mean, you're racing like against like older drivers, a lot more experience. I mean, it just said, as you said, you won a championship. How did you still find success at such a young age?
You know, there's a lot that goes into racing, like anything from dirt bikes to dirt cars, stock cars, asphalt stuff. Like, there's so many factors that have to go right for you to have a successful weekend. And that's what makes racing so addicting, because, like, you could have all the pieces together and then someone in front of you could blow a motor and put oil all over the track, and next thing you know, you're backed into the fence, and it had nothing to do with what your team was doing that weekend. So, like, there's so many things that have to go right for you to win a race. And that's, like, the addicting part, because, like, there's so many pieces that you have to keep putting together every weekend. And racing is always evolving. Like, it's always changing. But I would have to say, like, where we were able to be successful short track racing is truly because my parents put in so much effort. And they were all in. Like, when I tell you they were all in, their lives revolved around us racing on the weekend. And they were finding sponsorship. And my dad had a lot of connections already in the motorsports industry. And we had one of the best crew chiefs from the Midwest working on our car. And I actually never even had my, like, once I started racing super late models, I never even had my own car. I always raced for, like, a team owner in someone else's car. And that also was pretty awesome, because one of the chassis, it's like, I think it's called like Victory Circle. No, I'm not sure. Like Victory Circle, something. I think they're out west, like maybe out in California. I forget the chassis name. But like no one was really running that chassis, but the team owner I was racing for had those chassis, and I was obsessed with them. Now I do own my own super late model. It's a Fury car, chassis number 69, fun fact. And it's in the garage right now, but like the story I said, how someone could blow a motor and put oil on the track and ruin your night, that happened to my husband at the end of last year. So the car is in my garage, destroyed right now. We have to fix it.
Got it. Appreciate all those details. You know, as I was saying before we started recording, you know, big fan of short track racing here in Jersey, and, you know, modified super late models. You know, anything can happen, you know, small or big track. So from super lates, you know, Midwest Truck Tour, you make the jump, have your ARCA debut 2017. You run full season the following year. You win the pole in Daytona to start that season. I mean, what did you learn in those ARCA years? I mean, going from short track to like tracks where aerodynamics really can play.
Yeah, there was a lot of learning to do, especially that season that I did the full year in ARCA. I've never been at mile and a half, and I didn't know what to expect. And it was completely different than what I grew up doing. Like the feeling that you have in the car and how aero-dependent the car is, it was something I had to learn and trust. And it was difficult. Mile and a halves were probably like my weakest point. And I started to like hate them. I was like, like I was getting upset every time before a mile and a half, because I was like, I know I'm going to struggle. I know I'm going to struggle. But as the years went on, I just learned so much more about the cars and why it feels like that. And like that you just have to trust the car and trust your team and your crew chief. But that probably didn't happen. It didn't like click and register in my brain for like that trust until I was in the truck series with DGR. We were racing Las Vegas. It was my first time in Las Vegas. And we had a shit practice. Like my shocks weren't hooked up. Because when the car's traveling to the racetrack, they don't have like the race stuff in it. So like so when they put it in at the track, like they didn't fully hook everything all up. So it was like feeling all weird in practice, and like I'm so new at this, I didn't know, like I was trying to explain what the car is doing. I'm like, it feels like it's like very bouncy, like something's wrong. And practice was so short, and then finally we get to qualifying, and like I had no practice because of all this craziness that was going on. And my crew chief at the time, Frankie Kerr, he was like, okay, just hold it wide open, please trust me. It's going to feel like you're at Daytona. Like, I promise you the car is going to stick. Like, it's not going to slide out from underneath you. It's not going to get tight. Like, it's going to be easy. And I really just had to go into qualifying, like, trusting him, saying that, because we had, like, no practice from all the craziness. And it did. It felt great. And I was like, oh, I get it now. Like, now it makes sense. I just needed that someone to, like, push me a little bit and be like, do as I say, and if you destroy the car, I'll take the blame, pretty much is what he was telling me. Because he was like, I promise it's going to stick. And it did. And then finally I was like, okay, maybe I do like mile and a half. So Vegas became my first favorite mile and a half. And it still is my favorite to this day.
Got it. Well, I mean, it does take a learning process in anything. So, I mean, 2019, you're just talking about the trucks. You run majority of that schedule that season. Longer races, new tracks, more pressure in the spotlight. I mean, how was that first truck series year as a whole for you as a driver and personally?
I'm not gonna lie, that year sucked. Like, I did not enjoy that year. I also didn't enjoy my ARCA year either. Like, I was really, like, debating, like, every other day, like, is this really what I want to do? Like, there were so many things that, like, were making it not fun for me. And one of the things was, like, a lot of the hate I would get on social media and the fans, and it would get to me, and it would just make me spiral and second guess myself. And then my head was never in a good spot every time I showed up to the track. And after that DGR year in the trucks, I was like, screw it. I have to, like, completely focus on only things that I can control. And I need to, like, stop listening to the stuff online, and I just need to go out and have fun. And then, like, everything started clicking even more, and I was having so much more fun. I was enjoying every single weekend. Even the bad weekends are still fun. Like, everyone says, like, even a bad day at the racetrack is still a good day, because, like, you're out there doing what you love, and it's addicting. Racing is addicting. So
exactly.
Then I was racing for Nice Motorsports when everything really shifted, and I was like, I just need to have fun. I need to focus on myself and, like, have a clear mindset. And that's then when we got fifth at Daytona.
Yeah, I was going to say that the 2020 year definitely had some solid finishes. I believe that was the highest finishing female to this date on the truck series. So that's really neat how, I mean, social media is everywhere. So that's really neat. You're able to overcome that and then, have those results just the following year.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people forget that I finished fifth at Daytona. Like, someone commented on my Instagram and was like, I just Googled Natalie's best finish, or, like, I asked AI, and it says fifth at Daytona, but that has to be a lie. And I'm like, no, I finished fifth at Daytona. It was never talked about, and I'm not going to sit here and, like, tell everyone about it because it was years ago, and, like, you have to keep focusing on your next race. Like, I can't just keep sitting here and be like, no, I finished fifth.
Where I went to college in Monmouth in New Jersey, I was on the club hockey team, and that from 2019 we had your posters all over the house, and then we were watching that truck series race in 2020, and, like, when you finished fifth, we were, like, going crazy.
I love that. Wait, so you play hockey?
Yep. Still hockey. Doing it. I believe Derek did too, right?
Yes, he did, but we make fun of him because he was on JV in that varsity.
That's funny.
We didn't our girls team wasn't big enough to have a JV and varsity, so we only had one team. But I always make fun of him. I was like, I was a starter, and you were on JV.
You were riding the pine. That's funny. So getting into a more present day. I mean, you just mentioned Derek. I mean, you meet him at a local track. You went into more detail on Matt Tiff's show, how you guys met. You guys get married in 2024. How has that relationship and marriage helped you on and off the track?
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Like, honestly, we've been together for over 10 years now, I think. So yeah, because I'm going to be 29 this year, and we started dating just right after I turned 18. And he is my safe space. And, like, he makes me feel comfortable in every situation I'm put in, and I, like, go to him for everything. Like, he is, like, someone that I really, really trust, and I just, like, I really couldn't do it without him. And the best way for me to put it is, like, he makes me feel safe. So, like, there's been maybe one race a couple years ago I had to do without him, and it was at Daytona. But my parents were there. But it was definitely very odd because then I had to go straight to the airport and fly out, and he was doing the truck race in Milwaukee Mile.
Yep.
And so I had to meet him there, and like the race was like super awesome, like without him, because it didn't feel any different. My parents were there, but then like traveling without him, going to his race, like that's where I felt so lost. I was like at the airport all by myself. Like I never travel alone. I'm like, he's my person. But yeah, we met racing, and he still races here and there, but his like main focus is always me, which makes me feel very special.
That's awesome. I know he's listed as your PR person as well, and the sponsorship. So that's great that you two can expand on the stuff that you guys both love to do, racing. And that's great that you have a safe. I mean, that everyone should have someone like that. So that's really awesome. I appreciate you touching upon that. The following year, you give birth to your son, Levi. You've been very open about motherhood and bringing that to the track. I mean, how do you find a balance to be a mother first and then a race car driver?
Well, my dream has always been to be a mother. Like when I was a little girl and I had my baby dolls in the strollers, I'd be like pushing my little baby doll in my stroller around at like a go-kart track, and then like 10 minutes later I'd hop in and go race my go-kart. So like I've always wanted to be a mom, and it's something that Derek and I talked about for so long when we were dating and into getting married. And the one thing, like if I could have done it sooner, I would have. We waited a long time to get married just because I don't even know why. Like I feel like that could be a whole hour-long conversation, but I did want to be married before I had a baby with Derek. And then like the balance of it, I don't know, obviously you should always put your family first no matter what, like the family that's raising you at the time, or then once you venture out and get married, like then you need to always remember to put family first. But what's so special about our family is we do everything together all day long and into the weekend. So like we do our like Zoom calls with sponsors. Sometimes Levi's sitting on my lap and he's a part of it, or he's in the shop with Derek working on his dirt car. When I get like fitted in the Daytona car before the race, he comes to the shop and he's playing and running around almost by himself. He needs to hold on still a little bit. And we just love having him be a part of it all. And that's how I grew up in my family. So my parents owned a snowmobile racetrack, and I was so involved in everything that they did, and they just took me everywhere. And I enjoyed growing up that way so much that I told Derek that I want to raise my family that way. But back to like earlier when I was talking about like we waited a while to get married, but I knew right when we got married I wanted to start trying for a baby. But it was so scary, and I think why I pushed getting married off so much is because I wanted to have a baby right away, and society could put this like dark thing over when a woman has a baby, like her career is over, or she can't do both, or she can't have both. And like growing up watching that, and like seeing other women in the motorsports industry like not have kids or wait to have kids, it just like it scared me. But then at one point in my career, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to listen to that, because like I don't have to live my life that way. Like there's no rules. So then I was like, Derek, we need to get married now, and then I gave him 6 months. I'm like, you better propose to me in 6 months or less, because I want to get married. I want to have a baby before I'm 30.
Got it. Really appreciate all that insight. I mean, you see that also with other professional athletes. It definitely is kind of a stigma, but and you're very vocal with it. You were on Fox and Friends in Daytona with Levi. So it's just really cool that you're sharing that family environment, which so many kids like myself and you grew up with at the racetrack, and it's just great to see that for future generations.
Yes.
So,
I love doing it with him, so it makes me so happy.
That's awesome. You mentioned some of the social media stuff, in the ARCA and then Truck Series. I mean, throughout your career, interviews, social medias, you always seem to be yourself. I mean, so many people can have opinions nowadays, and some of those people we heard right after Daytona. I mean, I'm sure it's not 70 and sunny for you all the time, as you mentioned. But how do you stay so positive? I mean, through your following and your sponsors, it's really impressive.
Well, thank you for saying it's impressive. I really have to give everything to my mom on this. Growing up with the mom I had, she always was able to have every situation turn positive. Like, I rarely saw her spiral about something and be so upset about something that it affected her mood. And she's still like that to this day. And I really believe that's why I'm the way I am, with always just having a positive outlook on everything, always being able to smile and push through it, is because I saw my mom do it all the time. And that was like inspiring to me, and I loved that about her. I love that, like, something could be like going so wrong, maybe with the business or at the house or just, life in general. And she's like, so my mom did, like, she wrote and directed plays, and she would, like, just show up with the biggest energy and the best smile and just loving everyone. And I just, like, was like, oh my gosh, like, I want to be like that. I want to do that. So she inspires me a lot in that way. But in my early years of racing, I don't think I was as good at it as I am now. Like I said, when I was racing in ARCA and that first year with DGR and the trucks, like, it was difficult. I remember once I moved into the Truck Series, I talked to David Gilliland, who was the team owner at the time, about it in his office. I was like, dude, I'm struggling. Like, I can't show up to the race and not be 100% focused because of all the noise online. It's really getting to me. And he told me to get a dog. So I did, and it helped, actually. He's like, get a dog. I think that will help. So that's how I got my first dog, Cash.
All right, cool. That's a really neat story and some good advice from Mr. Gilliland over there. Was announced at the beginning of this year you'd have a partnership with TN Dickinson Witch Hazel, which would be coming on board for Daytona, then Pocono. This is the first time them as a sponsor in the sport. What was it like sharing your Daytona experience this year with them?
It was incredible. Oh my goodness. The amount of effort that they put in at the track was incredible. Like, every sponsor there at the track, I hope, was watching TN Dickinson's, because the activations that they were doing every single day was just so family friendly, fan friendly. Like, they just brought the energy, and the fans loved it. And, like, that's, we can't race without the fans. Like, they're our number one supporters, right? So, like, we get, like, so the amount of effort that they put in, it just made me so happy. They didn't miss a beat. Like, everything I did and everywhere I had to be, they were there supporting me, as well as, like, doing activations with the fans throughout the whole, like, every single day. And it was incredible. And I was just so thankful that we were able to do that first opener race with them, so that they could experience it and, like, really see what it's like, because there's nothing like Daytona. It's crazy. I mean, it's insane, right? And then they actually, after Daytona, they signed on 2 more races. So I'm doing 4 races this season with them.
That's awesome.
Then I got a new sponsor, and I'm doing the Atlanta race, and it's I'm actually drinking it right now. It's called Venturi, and they're cold brew, but it's tea and coffee. But you can't taste the coffee. Like, this one that I'm drinking now has 80% cold brew tea and 20% cold brew coffee. And it literally just tastes like blueberry tea. It's delicious. And then with the TN Dickinson's, how we got that sponsorship, well, I work with an agent. His name's Johnny. He's wild. We love him so much. And after I gave birth to Levi, I was using, they make, like, cooling pads for, like, hemorrhoids and stuff. I didn't have that, but obviously I just pushed a baby out. So, like, I was very sore and uncomfortable. And my nurses told me to put them, like, in my underwear, like my diaper that I was wearing. And I was obsessed with it. Witch hazel smells delicious. It smelled so good. And within, like, minutes, I felt so good. My son was in the NICU. So I had to walk back and forth from my room to his room. And like at first they're like, oh no, we have to push you in a wheelchair. Like you just, gave birth to a baby. And I was like, no, I'm feeling so good because of this witch hazel that I'm walking. So I would walk back and forth and I felt like Superwoman after that. So I called my agent as soon as I got home after Levi was done in the NICU and we got to bring him home. I called my agent and I was like, you need to find out who these Tian Dickinson's people are because I'm obsessed and I need to work with them because I love them so much.
That's awesome to find a sponsor and a product like that, and to tie that into the birth of your son. And I literally still have some of the free samples in my bag. That they were definitely out there, and
they're good.
From the other interviews you did, I mean, it just seemed like they were really having a great time, and that's awesome just for the sport and for you, of course, that they're coming on for more races. That's really great to hear.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It was like such good news when my agent called me and was like, we're doing 2 more races with them. I was like, yes.
That's awesome. Getting into the race, I mean, a lot of carnage early and often in Daytona. I mean, in the middle stage, you do get up to the 20s. Unfortunately, third stage on lap 92, you get caught up in that wreck. Glad you're okay. You did say post-race that was one of the harder hits of your career. I mean, what did you see there?
Yeah, I don't know if it was one of the harder hits of my career because now that I think about it, I just don't think I've been in that hard of a wreck in a long time. Like, it's probably been years, so I think I truly just forgot because the next day I was, like, feeling fine. I thought I was going to be, like, so sore. Like, I was like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to feel like I got hit by a truck. But I felt actually pretty great, and we went back to the track and hung out for the Cup race with my sponsors and my family at the motorhome. It was a great day. But, yeah, I mean, the super speedways, and even, like, Atlanta, like, those tracks, and there's a lot of
anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and so much is out of your control. But looking back at my whole race, like, there's a lot of things I wish I could have done differently. From the start, like as the green flag dropped, someone missed a shift.
Yeah, that stack up there.
Yeah, and there was a big stack up, and I kind of saw it starting to happen, but I didn't hear anything yet from my spotter, so I didn't think it was going to be as big as it was, and I don't think anyone else thought it was going to be as big as it was. But I got rear-ended, and I hit the guy in front of me, so I had a hole in the front of my nose, and I came down pit road to get it fixed, but to be honest, I don't know if the car would have been great in the draft to begin with without that damage, but that damage really did not help us at all. And it was just a struggle from the start because I could not stay in the draft if I didn't have anyone behind us. And the way I like to race at the super speedway tracks is to just hang out in the back until the end. And I know there's so much controversy over that, and people are like, well, that's not racing and this and that. And it's so many drivers use that strategy, especially the lower budget teams.
100%.
I'm in a lower budget team and do that strategy. But if one of my sponsors ever says, we don't care if something happens on lap 10 and we want you to race to the front as fast as you can, I'll do that for the sponsor.
Got it. Appreciate you touching upon that. You mentioned that you had several other races added. You're not racing full time, and you're a mom first, as you said. I mean, how do you stay sharp? I mean, with a limited schedule.
It's really difficult because there's not much you can do. Sim racing only helps so much, and I'm not with a manufacturer to where I can go to those really, really nice sims that each of the manufacturers have. So it's difficult, and NASCAR doesn't allow practice outside of the race weekend, and during the race weekend, sometimes practice is only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's and also truly the best practice and the only way you're going to get better is when you're actually in the race. And for example, you could take your super late model and have 10 brand new sets of tires and practice qualifying runs, 10 in a row. But until you're actually under the pressure and doing a real qualifying lap, it's completely different. So it's the same thing with racing. It's you can make as many laps as you want all by yourself, but the only way you're truly going to learn and keep getting better is being in the race.
Yeah, exactly. See, time is key. Yeah, really excited to see you back at the track soon. And last question, with racing being a sport, with dominated by boys and men, what would you tell a younger self or a young girl that's looking to get into the sport?
Oh, there would be so many things I would want to tell her. But here's one thing that I feel like I tell myself a lot, especially because the sport is so sponsorship driven, is when you're out there looking for sponsorships, like, there's going to be a lot of no's. So, like, what if there was someone who could tell you, like, after 1,000 no's, you're going to get a yes? So, like, you would be really excited for your first no. Like, the first time you hear no, because then you're that much closer to hearing yes. So don't let it, like, discourage you, because the sport is so sponsorship driven. But the other thing that I would also want to say is, like, surround yourself with people that truly have your best interest, because there's going to be really, really hard days. And when you're in those really low times, sometimes it's hard to, like, keep wanting to move forward, and you might second guess yourself. So in those moments, it's really nice to be surrounded by those people to really help, like, guide you and keep pushing you along, because the bad times will pass.
Got it. You're definitely, have seen that yourself. Awesome. Really appreciate the time chatting, Natalie. Was awesome. And some of those, stories and the detail with the super late model stuff. I don't think enough people know about that. You really are a gearhead too. So that's awesome to chat about that. And I'm going to be in Pocono with being from Jersey, so can't wait to see you out there. Yeah, will do. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, have a good one.
What a fantastic time chatting with Natalie. Hope everyone enjoyed that. Now for trivia answer time. This episode's question is, who won the first Cup Series race in Phoenix? We mentioned him last week. Answer is the Polish Prince, Andy Jankowiak. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. And if you're interested in getting some of the Venturi cold brew that Natalie spoke about, the promo code for that is Natalie35. Till next time, everybody, Splash of Gas out.